Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and welcome back. This is going to be the second video in this demo series hosted by Joe from Dabeco Games, and in this video we'll be looking at Duality, Combined Souls. This is sort of like a smash-up kind of game where you're picking two factions, putting their decks together, their cards together, and you're going to be battling your opponent. Now, as you can see here, the game is still very much in development. There's still a lot of placeholder art and the like. So this game is definitely more alpha/beta than Tectonic Shift, which was in the other video. So as you can see, more information about Tectonic Shift here. Not so much Duality, but you can find it on Tabletop Simulator. Check the links in the below description if you're interested in learning out more. And of course, continue watching this video to watch Joe's demo of this. So
Okay. Yeah, let me load that in. Actually, right before we met, I went in and created a teaching version.
Oh, okay.
Because it's currently like a friend of mine is building out a script for it.
Oh, okay. So,
But I realized because of all the scripting, it actually slowed me down on teaching because there was no instant setup.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll wait till.
Did you create Duality then before Tectonic Shift? Is that what?
No, I built Tectonic Shift in 2017, 2018.
Oh, really?
And then I was like, I did the book and stuff in 2019, and I was about to release it, like where I was starting to work on the box art and all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, let's release it spring of 2020. And obviously, you know exactly
COVID.
what happened.
Yeah.
Yep, COVID. Yeah. And I was like, I feel like this is going to be worse than what we think. Let's put a hold on the game.
A lot of
here we
companies
are
did that
3 years later.
Yeah, well, no, a lot of companies did that. The Kickstart, the shipping costs, like there was a whole shipping epidemic kind of thing where, things were getting lost in port. They probably still are, but still, like, you probably made the right decision there, business-wise.
Yeah, we would have just had 500 copies of a game sitting in our house.
Yeah, right.
Because back then we weren't looking at Game Crafter. We were just going to get a whole bunch printed.
Holy cow.
But yeah, now I'm just like, it's been years. We don't want to do that anymore.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, is it a 3D printer I've never heard of developers doing it like home brewed. Like, do you like a 3D printer?
We would just just go through a publisher or I should say like an outsourced publisher to print the game, and then they just drop them off at our house, and we go through the process.
But they don't distribute it. They just print it, and then I see what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
So we just literally had like a real company print out Havenfall, and they dropped off several pallets in front of our house, and we just moved them all in.
That was a fun day.
Yeah,
sure.
Luckily Tectonic Shift is like 1/3 the size, so if we had 100 copies, it'll feel like nothing.
Right. So, Duality here, it looks like, is that another 1v1 kind of situation?
This one's just purely at the moment 1v1. There's a more chaotic version of 2v2, but it's not balanced in that sense. It's just if people just want to have fun.
Okay, cool. And so is it a deck builder as well, or is it more of like a battle game?
So this one is not a deck builder.
Okay.
This one is, I always just tell people the shortest version is that Smash Up meets Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or any card combat game.
Okay.
With its own twists and mechanics.
Interesting.
The overall rules for the game are as simple as it possibly is, that it takes like 3 minutes to go over every roll for the game. Everything else is down to just the cards themselves.
Okay.
So this is my easiest game to teach. And it's also the quickest game to play. So that's why I can really teach this game quickly and run through a lot of matches.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're ready, I can kind of give you the highlights of what this game is.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, that's awesome.
So this one is all beta. So any card art you see is all placeholder. I can't even show you afterwards. If you want to see what the game will look like later, I can certainly show you that.
Yeah, whenever
the board
whenever you want.
Yeah, the board is certainly like art I designed, but there will probably be updates. Everything else, just imagine it's not mine. Okay. And that'll be there in the future.
Gotcha.
So in this game, players pick different factions. There are a lot of them, but for this tutorial, I'm just simply showing these 4.
Okay.
So one player has Holy Knights and Demons versus Legends of Horror and Cowboys.
I see. So
you'll see on these,
like in Smash Up, you're going to choose 2 of these things, like 2 decks. Okay.
Yep, you pick 2 decks.
Okay.
You'll see on the cover, it'll also give you a short description. So demons are all about just burst damage. That's their playstyle.
Okay.
The stars are the complexity.
Okay.
So obviously, with teaching a game, they're all 1 stars. Nothing is going to feel overwhelming in what's happening there.
Okay.
So to show you a faction is underneath there are just 5 cards. So a deck is very small.
Oh, okay.
But every card out of every deck is unique.
Okay.
You will not find another duplicate card out of the entire game. So much like you can see Tolgas here, His ability is this hero does not start exhausted, so he's the only card in the entire game that when you summon him, he can attack right away.
Okay.
On the back of the cover card, it also just gives you a short breakdown with the stats of every hero you have.
Okay.
And these are for both players to see, as you could always look over here, like, oh, they have 2 cards left. What are they?
Okay.
And then, yep, you can see here's your Holy Knights. Same
no
thing.
hidden information.
Yeah, no. And there are no spells. You simply have 10 cards between your 2 factions, and your goal is to deplete the opponent's 10 cards first.
Okay. Gotcha.
Or get them to surrender.
Okay.
So this is all, you can almost look at it more like a chess game, that once you've played enough and you know the decks, it's just simply you want to counterplay them.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
You just want to make smarter moves.
Okay.
Yeah, so a very short description of a card is, let's... Actually, I should just say, the way you start the game is you pick one card out of each of your factions to go into your hand. So let's just say you choose this guy and this one.
Okay.
The rest of them then get shuffled, and you'll draw 2.
Okay.
So you at least get to start with one card of your choice out of each deck. Then the rest of it will be random, and that's the only randomness in the entire game. You'll never roll dice. You'll never crit chance or like, oh, let's just see what happens between these 2 cards. Everything is full player knowledge.
Okay.
And you never have a kind of take that mechanic that you revealed my surprise card is like you play your stuff on your turn, they play theirs on theirs.
Okay.
So let's pretend you wanted to summon this guy to start.
Okay.
This little soul counter here off to the right side of your screen this is your mana in the game. It's called souls for now.
Okay.
You spend these to summon cards onto the board, and you start with 5.
Okay.
The blue number on the left of every card, that's the amount of souls you spend to summon them. So he's going to cost everything you have. And then the red is their attack, green is their health, and then the M is a melee. So melee go in the front. Otherwise, you'll see a purple R for range in the back.
Is it possible to have, like, let's say you pick 2 decks, and, like, there's 7 melee and 3 ranged. Is that a thing?
No, you'll notice with every faction, there's always a more of an even split. But you'll just have a 3 and 2.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there are some factions that have abilities to move forward and back, though.
Okay, that's
so you could end up having you just have 5 melee and nothing in the back.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so for now you just summon him. He has his own ability that when he's hit, they take 1 damage.
Okay.
And when cards are summoned, they are tapped.
Okay.
So let's just say you just summon him to start the game. You ran out of souls, so there's really nothing left to do. And at the end of the turn, you just draw back up till you have 4 cards.
Okay.
So the turn order is you get souls, you do anything you want in any order you want, and then you draw back up.
Okay.
If needed. So let's mix her cards up real quick, and we'll just kind of pretend she picked her cards, and we'll just
sure. Yeah.
set something up. So let me find some lower cost ones real quick, like Olabek, which is Ash from Overwatch, and Isaac the Viper. That'll work. So the difference of second player is they start with 6 souls, and they can summon 2 cards on their first turn. First player can only summon 1. That's just simply for balancing the start.
Right.
So Olabek is range, and so is Isaac.
Okay.
And just for the sake of it, let's put some... Where's your hand zone at? Oh, you're not in a seat. Let me move you guys into the proper seats real quick.
Oh, sure.
Oop, as all the cards just fall into oblivion. There we go. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect.
Cool.
Then looking at their abilities, Isaac's is very simple that when an enemy is summoned, he can pay 1 less than the opponent to cancel it, and he has to give up a coin. So you can only do this 3 times, but he can basically just make them waste souls on trying to summon stuff, and it won't play out.
Okay.
Olabek has a function that doesn't make sense yet, is it uses the term essence, and I'll go over that in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, both of them are going to be exhausted, and it costs a total of 5.
Okay.
So that would be the turn, and then they draw back up. So now that would be back to Red's turn. You can gain souls, and in this game, it's a unique mechanic. Is you get 5 minus your heroes on the board.
So the less people you have, the more you get, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. So you would get 4, and whatever you don't spend does carry over.
Okay.
If you have 5 cards on the board, you don't generate anything.
Okay.
If you have nothing on the board, you can certainly just keep gaining them. But if you ever hit 12, you have to start summoning.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that because there is no player health, you can kind of avoid a turn or 2 of just getting your cards destroyed and then bring out your whole hand.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I was about
Yep.
to say, like, that puts you at risk, though. I mean, like, because you're giving your
It is.
opponent a setup.
That's exactly it. You don't usually want to do it, but there are times where you just know two cards when they come out together, they're going to do a lot of effects that the
Gotcha.
opponent won't be able to counter.
Okay.
And then combat is as simple as now that he can attack, you can hit anywhere you want with every card. You just can't attack range behind melee.
Okay.
So that means if Olabek had this guy in front of her, you can't target her.
I see.
If he was right here, you can hit any card you want.
I see. So the placement does matter. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you'll have cards that have like adjacent effects and lane advantages, so on and so forth.
Okay.
So in this instance, maybe you just want to focus Isaac, so you would hit 2 damage, so 1-2. There's no retaliation unless a card states it.
I see. So I was about to ask, that number underneath the card is their current health or hit points.
Yep, how much damage they've taken. So once it reaches 5, they would die.
Okay.
Gotcha. If this reaches 6, you would die.
Okay.
So maybe you just want to save up because you don't want to bring out anything and you're looking for a better card.
Mm-hmm.
So you would just pass. And she would get 3 souls because she has 2 cards on the board.
Okay.
So because it's always 5 minus your heroes.
Uh-huh.
And you can even see if these guys go to attack, they would do 3 or a total of 5, but they each take damage for hitting him.
Oh, I see.
Because of his ability.
Do you have to
jump?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was going to jump ahead, so if you have questions, feel free.
So when you attack or use an ability, a card ability, do you have to exhaust it, or do cards only get exhausted when you first play them?
They come in exhausted when you play them, and then I just exhaust them if I attack, just so I know I already played that card.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep. If you do see cards like Genevieve here, if there's the term active, you can use that and attack.
Okay. And
you can use actives every turn, including when you summon.
Okay.
So she could immediately come out and heal everybody around her 1 health per turn.
Okay.
So she's a really good effect, but if the opponent just has a lot of damage, it's not going to matter.
So I guess my question then is, can Genova both attack and use her ability? Like when you exhaust the card, you can use it for its attack and its ability, or do you have to choose one or the other?
Nope. You can just do both.
Okay.
If you see the word choice on a card, then that's exactly what you're thinking, is you have to choose which one you'd rather do.
Okay, cool.
So let's jump ahead and pretend that's back to your turn. So you would get 4 souls.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, you're going to deal 2 damage to Isaac and kill him.
Okay.
So this is the unique feature of the game. When a card dies, that player gets a soul for losing a card, but you get the essence.
Ah, okay.
And in essence, is the back of every card, is there a mechanic or a faction mechanic?
Oh, interesting.
And when you summon a new card, like let's say you bring out Teodric, you have the option to combine the abilities.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he just gave out increased damage to everybody around him, but he also now can return cards back to their decks.
That's
or back to the player's hand. So you may get a situation like trying to find it. Oh, there's a really good one. Something like this, where this cowboy, his ability is when somebody in his lane goes to attack him, he gets to hit first. Is you could attach that to this guy. Because not only you take damage hitting him, but now he's also going to hit you.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
And because of Teodric, he just increased his damage.
So the more troops you kill... So I guess having a bunch of low health troops is bad only because you can then feed your opponent all these abilities? Or
potentially. It's really down to, but if you have low health, you're probably making up for it with damage.
Okay.
Because you'll see cards like this guy that has a lot of health to him.
Only 1 damage.
Only 1 damage. But his ability is very powerful as he makes the sides untargetable.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So he's the only target, and that's where you could then, have a whole bunch of damage out all around it.
Okay.
So what happens when you defeat an enemy that has an essence behind him?
That's a great question. So if this guy dies, you would get his essence, and this one gets trashed.
Ah, okay.
So you can only attach them once, and you can only attach it to a card when you summon them. If a card is already on the board, it will not get an essence.
Ah, okay.
So that also means you're like, Sawyer's really going to help, but I'm waiting for them to bring out this certain card so I can attach it to him. Because picture just Celeste here. Her ability is when attacking a melee, heal 2 health. That's a really good effect. Imagine how much more frustrating it is on this guy.
Yeah.
And then you throw in somebody like this that's also going to heal right behind him. So there's times where you just, as you know the factions, you're like, I really want to get that combo. I'm going to wait. And then the opponent's thinking the exact same thing.
Well, I can see a lot of strategies here too. But as you mentioned, like it seems like knowing the decks ahead of time and their abilities will really help you out like
Mhm.
because you'll know how to chain
that
things.
is the one big difference. Is if I go against new players, it's usually they're not going to win, and I usually tend to try to go easier on them.
Right.
But there's some people that are just really into magic and
Right.
theory crafting and stuff like that they'll just walk right through me.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So how many demos have you? I see you on this game all the time teaching people, I guess.
Probably in the thousands at this point.
Holy cow!
Yeah, there's a lot. Because the matches may only be 20 minutes long,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're like, "Yeah, let's do another." And people will spectate, and they'll just want to keep watching. That if I had this room open now, and we had 8 seats, like 4 people would have joined just to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That is
Because people
awesome.
like to see, like it's kind of like watching, like a really crazy chess match where you're trying to see, like, oh, what are they going to do to counter them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Magic the Gathering has a huge following like that.
Mm-hmm.
Other card games very similar. Okay, this is cool too. I can't claim to be good at Smash Up. I always lose at it.
And you can see with Smash Up, the only similarity is you pick 2 decks. Beyond that, there's absolutely no similarity. Because in this game, I was like, I'm really bad at theory crafting and trying to like build out an actual deck.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, it's just you just pick 2 and play. And because there's only 5 cards in each, it's not like a massive memory dump.
Mm-hmm. Are certain combos better than others? Like, or will every deck work with every deck usually?
Every deck, yeah. They just simply like you could do Holy Knights and Boy Scouts.
Okay.
As 2 factions, but the thing you're going to run into is they're both very support focused. So you have a whole lot of healing and a lot of survivability, but your damage is going to be really low.
Gotcha.
But then the benefit is when you start killing the opponent's stuff, it may give you the damage you're looking for.
I see, because of their essence abilities or whatever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. Because much like that card you saw earlier, when you summon him, he can attack right away.
Mm-hmm.
But when the opponent has it, you're a lot more worried because they may have a card that does a lot more damage than him.
It makes sense. Okay. Can you attach, like, can you hold on? So whenever you summon an essence, you can attach this essence to anyone. It doesn't have to be immediately. You can store this essence for a while.
Yeah, it'll just sit there, and then whenever you go to summon, let's say Grass for that instance, you can choose if you want to attach these or not.
I see. But you cannot attach an essence to an existing troop?
That's exactly it. Yep.
Okay.
Unless a card states it just like this guy, that his benefit is he has a one-off that whenever you're ready, if a card's sitting there, you're like, yeah, let's go ahead and attach it now.
I see. Okay.
That is it. That is his full purpose.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Okay.
So that's kind of understanding the whole idea of the game, and it's really just you read the cards, you do what they say, and your opponent's positioning and your positioning really matter. But then there are a lot of factions. So if you look at the upper left corner, you'll see show factions.
I just clicked it, man.
Yeah,
it's like,
you can see there's currently 38.
Nuclear family. I gotta try that.
Click it and it'll lay out off to the side so you can see them.
Oh, that's a cool, like a little spawner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is cool. Okay. Sally, Sue, Betty. Okay. I can see why this is all placeholder. I don't think that would fly if you could try to publish this now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this faction's just very they're terrible on their own, that they need each other to make them more powerful.
Gotcha. So a lot of their abilities trigger each other's stuffs. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so like if you have Sally on the board, her effect is she has an active, so you can use it right away to, like, let's say they had a position like this, she can move a hero 1 space towards her, so she can expose a ranged card so you can hit it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But by herself, she's not going to really do anything.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, where Carl can unexhaust somebody that's already exhausted and reset their active as well. So that means like you could have Sally attack twice and also move 2 people.
Oh man, I want to spend like 3 hours going through these factions
to do the deck.
just to see which one I like, you know.
Yeah, and every single one of them is just like, it's not just random cards, that they are a full built out like play style.
Cool. Will the game, when you buy it, will it include all the factions, or some of these like expansions that you're going to be like including then?
So with the idea for this game, unless a publisher picks up and they kind of choose, is when you buy the game, it'd be maybe $30, and it will come with 6 factions.
Okay, gotcha.
And then everything else will just simply be a la carte.
Okay, gotcha.
If you want to buy Spiders, it's $5. If you want to buy Legend of Horror, $5. If you buy 4 at once, we'll throw a 5th in for free.
Okay.
So the idea there is if people like to buy a lot of factions, you can get 5 factions for $20.
Mm-hmm. If you can get like a big box or something, and like a I don't know, one of those one-off all-inclusive
Yeah,
things.
just sell it for like $100 or whatever it is, and
Right.
just get everything.
Some people may some people may opt for that rather than pay $5 here, $5 here. They just might want everything and just buy it all. So yeah.
And that would be the catch, is like when I release the game, I would think, I was like, oh, well, I really only need to have 10 factions ready, and then I can just work on the art and all that stuff in between. And then maybe whenever I'm like at 40 factions, like right here I have 38, I'd be like, oh, hey, all 40 are done. We now have a big box version that you can just buy the entire thing for X amount.
That's cool. No, I like that idea, because there are a lot of games like Summoner Wars, for example. It starts you get, I think, what, 6 factions or 8 factions with Summoner War, but then you could buy the zombie or the ghouls, whatever it was, separate. So I'm like, no, I want everything. You know what I mean? So yeah.
It's funny you mentioned I played Summoner Wars, and that was my inspiration to make this.
Oh,
because I was really frustrated with Summoner Wars. Because I was playing it, and my wife Emily just walked right through me. And she doesn't play games. And she's like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I was like, I'm trying to build out strategies. It was because of the dice rolling. And I was like, I'm so mad because no matter what I do, I keep rolling a 2 and you roll a 6. Because you roll 6, the card is even better. Yeah. And I was just like, because I like all the aspects, I like this, that, and you can see the board looks very similar. Yeah, and I was just like, oh, it'd be kind of neat. Is like, oh, if they're like, let's remove the dice from the game. How would it work? And I was watching the game Artifact. Like the game that's very dead. I love and I thought Artifact. It was neat that I thought it was just neat that you could go to the shop and just enhance your own cards. I thought, I was like, well, I'm if instead of a shop is when you just kill your enemies, you take their weapons. And I started just toying with that idea. I was like, oh, what if you steal their weapon, you steal their ability, kind of like Kirby or Mega Man.
Right.
And once I had that idea, I was like, okay, now I'm onto something. I was like, but that's a lot of stuff. I was like, maybe factions are tiny. And it literally just evolved into, I was like, oh, maybe you can combine 2 play styles. And
then Smash Up came in it. Yeah.
Yep. And then it became Smash Up. And that was, I think it took about a month to fine tune that idea into something.
Wow.
But if you saw the original version, it was just so unenjoyable that I walked away from this game like 3 times.
And then
I was like, oh, this game's awful.
I have a suspicion that a lot of developers are in the same boat as you when it comes to stuff like that. And then you take inspiration out of nowhere from left field. You're like, oh, I can implement this, and that solves this problem. You know what I mean?
That was it. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, these all look. I now that I've got this game, I think downloaded. Is this a special version, or is this the one that's out there now?
I can give you this version if you want. I can just clear it out, like reset it if you want to take this save.
That'd be
one
cool.
On the workshop does not have any of the scripting.
Okay.
The guy scripting it is right now he's building up a system that you can just click the number and it'll move.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's offering like more features, but you can at least just have this version that's you could just dive right in and start playing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, let me reset this for you.
Okay, no problem.
And then
I love that there's the Heroes of Havenfall.
Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah, I was just about
Tectonic Shift. That is so cool.
Yeah, you could literally just pick my other 2 factions and play them together. And it is literally you're playing those games. Like Tectonic Shift, you have to decide which mode you want to be in.
That is so cool.
So if you go into combat mode, you can do all of your attacks, but you can't summon as much or gain as much energy.
Wow.
Okay, so save it, Duality. Okay, save game. Okay, I hit save. Hopefully that worked.
I have a feeling I'm going to get destroyed again. But that's
that's right, because you did play this game. You can see it looks very different. One thing I did mention was this kill tracker. This is a new thing I added in over the summer. Every time a card dies, you just move it towards that player. If you ever lose 3 more than the other player, you immediately get these buffs. That you get a +1 damage and +3 health. That you can either add to cards currently on the board or save them for future ones.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a one-time mechanic.
I see. And so wait a minute. So if you destroy an enemy card, it goes toward them. I see. So it has sort of like a runaway leader problem.
That's exactly it. And like even the match I taught the last 2 nights with new players, it didn't even happen.
Wow.
It just moves back and forth. This is just literally if somebody's really walking over you, you get it.
Okay. Cool.
So kind of like 1 out of maybe 8 matches I see it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just kind of, it's not fun to just be stomped. And the crazy part is I've literally got somebody here. I was like, I do not want to kill your card because you're going to give that one card that every time I hit it, you're going to give it 3 more health. And then the card behind it is going to get more damage. I was like, I'll let you kill one of mine before I do that.
Right. that bonus then, is that you pick a friendly card and it applies to them for the rest until they're off the board, or how does...
Exactly, yeah. So if you had out, if I bring in demons, you could have this card and this card on the board, and you're just like, yeah, let's give this guy 3 more health, and then let's give this one +1 damage. And you just see how hard of a swing that is.
Yeah,
that you're like, yeah, I don't want
that. That is cool. Okay.
Yeah. I should note, cards do have a limit. Every card cannot exceed, caps out at 512. Okay. So if you do have any enhancements, that's as high as a card can get.
Gotcha.
Beyond that, like, they can certainly do extra effects with their abilities, but those numbers don't improve.
Cool.
Interesting.
So what's the timetable for this one? Like Tectonic Shift, is it going to be a soon kind of thing? Or are you still working on this for a while?
If I literally just like stopped where I was at with the game and just focused on just art and stuff like that, I would say next year.
Okay, gotcha.
Kind of my goal is next year to take this to Origins or Gen Con and kind of see what the thought is from any publishers that want to pick it up, because this has like this drastically increased the amount of people that came to our Discord, and people just love to keep replaying it. And even the guy that scripted this, a friend of mine showed him in August, and all he does in his free time is just script this. He's like, awesome. I played one match, and he's like, this is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. So it's really cool. Like, people are just like, if you like PvP, like mechanics where you don't feel cheated because they got these legendary cards that that you don't have, that doesn't happen in this game. And everything the opponent has, if it sounds broken, just keep in mind you're going to get it, but you can probably abuse it more.
That is cool.
Because you could put that guy that when you hit him, you take damage, you could put on somebody that heals. And it's immensely more annoying.
One of the things that we always say in our board game videos, we wish this was digital.
Oh my god, this game would be so good if it was digital.
I was just about to mention, like, have you had any thoughts about, like, I don't know how much you know about, I mean, you obviously develop games, but video game development is completely different. Like, Unity programming, right?
No.
Right, so I was hoping maybe at some point I'd love to see a digital version of this outside of Tabletop Simulator, but I imagine that's going to be miles down the road because you're still working on a physical copy.
Yep. I've spoken with like different people. That a friend I met that made Hex something. I think you may have even done a review for it years ago.
Yzquierdo or Hexed. Yeah, they had it was a roguelite where you were moving your hero from left to right on. Yep. Yes, I covered that. Yeah.
Yeah, I reached out to my friend Luigi on there and I showed him the game. I was like, I would be definitely willing to partner if somebody wants to make a digital. I was like, I have all this stuff ready. I can give you all the art. And we just need somebody to build out the code and infrastructure for this. And I was like, we could do some type of partnership, and we split the profits of all the digital stuff. And everybody I've talked to, they're like, "Oh, it looks like a lot." I was like, "That's why I need to find a company that actually like picks this up and it takes over."
Right. I hope you do, because I am intrigued by this as well. Yeah. So,
and it's just fun. Like, people are just like, "Oh my god, there's a chicken faction." And they just like, I gotta play chickens. And a lot of these are like, every year I do a community poll. So this was the community poll of last year. Is I did a poll and I always just tell people nothing inappropriate and nothing copywritten. Right. And the sky's the limit outside of that. And first place was chickens. Second place was vegetables. I was like, oh, you guys just don't care at all, dude.
Right. It's Star Trek. And like, oh, wow, good luck getting the rights to that one. Okay.
And so they're like, okay, well, chickens won. And I reached out to the person that wrote chickens. I was like, what are you thinking for their play style? They're like, oh, they're chickens. I was like, so nothing more than that. He's like, yeah, they do what chickens do.
Well, that's very helpful.
So my thoughts is I just started looking. I was like, okay, well, chickens lay eggs, so let's throw that in, and that you put those on the board, and it makes the opponent spend more. One of them is you can cut the head off, and he still lives for a turn.
Well, you're really digging deep.
Run around.
Yeah.
One of them is go for the legs. So this one stops any type of movement. So if you try to do any movement at all, he stops you.
Oh my gosh.
That is crazy.
Yeah, one of them kind of gets you, like the large talons joke from Napoleon. Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah.
Okay.
I literally just searched popular chicken names. So I just thought, I was like, oh, Pom Pom's cute. Mr. Feets. So they just were just chicken names because I was like, I don't know, nobody gave me any guidance. And they ended up just becoming an anti-support. So if people have a lot of support playstyle functionality, they remove it from the game.
Oh, cool. Gosh.
It's so cool.
Have you balanced all of balanced all of this already, or are you still requiring balancing?
Yeah. Any balancing I do is very minor. That I won't look at a card and be like, oh, this thing's just absolutely broken.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I nowadays, I'm just looking at what factions aren't played often and what's the reason.
Gotcha.
So nobody really plays dragons, and the fact is just they just feel too complicated for their playstyle. So I'm redesigning them that right now their playstyle is they can fly around on the board, or they can go into a grounded state where they gain a bunch of armor and protections. But you're constantly deciding what state do I want to be in. So the new version is they all come in while they're flying, and you choose when you're ready that it permanently goes grounded.
Cool. Are there any damage over time effects? Like when I think dragons, I think burning. I'm wondering can they burn?
Oh yeah, so they do burn. If you're looking for the damage over time faction, that would be spiders.
Poison.
Because they can apply venom. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And that's so you can see on these cover cards, it tells you how to play them, and some factions come with a mechanic. So you can see spiders have a choice that instead of attacking, they can just apply venom and put it on cards, and that is just a damage over time, and you can stack up to 3 per hero.
Wow.
And then you'll see they have built-in stuff that when an enemy dies from venom with a Zir, you can move the venom onto another enemy.
Holy cow. I love that each faction has its own set of tokens. That reminds me of that one 1v1 dice game that we played sometimes, Han, with the
Dice Forge?
Dice Throne?
Dice Throne, yes. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I compared this when I first talked about this with Vince. I said, dude, there's so many factions. It's like Dice Throne. It's awesome.
Yeah, Shriala is a really fun card because when she has a killed effect that when she dies, you get to place 3 gross little hatchlings on the board.
Ooh, that's cool.
And because they're spiders, they can apply venom. But they're all just little 1/1s. So just any damage will kill them.
Right. But leave them on the board and they just keep... Does the venom stack to where you lose 2 per turn? Oh, wow.
Yep. So you can just have 3 of them hit 1 card, and that card's now going to lose 3 health per turn.
Oh,
is there a way to cleanse this venom? Or
that's exactly what I was going to say. So when you kill them, every card, the opponent can get all the spidery effects. And you can see up here... all spider/spider essences can apply venom. So if you have a spider essence, you can apply it. Or you can see at the bottom of all of these are anti-venoms.
Ah, okay.
So instead of actually becoming a spider, you can just trash these to remove the venom off of an ally.
Gotcha. Wow.
But you're giving up your spidery effect. So you're giving up having 3 hatchlings of your own.
Mm-hmm. But your card's going to die over time anyway. So
yeah.
more than likely you're going to want to cleanse yourself if that's the case. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really just how important is my card. It's I don't want that card. I don't care if it dies.
Gotcha.
Unless you have an adjacent healing sort of or something. I don't know.
Yeah, if you could do that and just try to outpace the venom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the same is a lot of factions is just people would think of an idea or a certain play style. Is a recent one were superheroes.
Oh no!
As I just had these last month, and their mechanic is they can't kill anybody.
Oh what?
So they completely ignore kill effects.
Oh, okay.
And instead, if you look off to the side, way over near where the essences and stuff are stored, there are jail cells. They actually put people in jail in prison.
And if they reach 5, they win?
It's just simply you just kidnap, or not kidnap.
Yes, you jail them. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, you put them in jail. You can really have as many as you want. The downside is you're not getting anybody's essence because you're not killing them. You're just literally putting the card directly in that jail cell listed. But what you do is you put out 3 locks in front of it.
Okay.
And once per turn, the opponent can attack a lock and destroy them. If all 3 are destroyed, they can take back 2 cards and put them back in their hand.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
So then you're just thinking why would I ever have a superhero kill anybody? Because not only do I not get an essence, but the opponent can get them back. They have benefits, if this hero captures an enemy, heal. If much like Chariot, the speedster, not Flash, is he has to be the first one to attack.
Right.
So you're just kind of forced. You're well, I guess I have to capture this guy. I don't have a choice.
The actual jail cells, they're killing me right now.
Yeah. That was the scripted guy that he was just it was a faction I made while he was working on this, and I just gave him superheroes. He's oh, they do a jail thing. He's cool. I'll go ahead and pull those assets in.
Oh my god,
that is awesome.
What is this red button here? Is that anything significant?
Oh, that is just where you toss out essences as their one-time uses, or they go away. I need to name it. I need to put a little name on that thing.
So it's a trash bin.
Yeah.
Just trash bin.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's literally just kind of looking through factions and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do here's a Havenfall mixed with Martians and just see how it plays out.
That is awesome.
And people find ridiculous things, and occasionally they'll point out, hey, this combo is broken. I found a loophole, and then I redesign that hero.
Yeah, right. Well, I imagine you're gonna have to do that a lot, considering.
I don't have to do it as much nowadays because I'm so much. I have like certain rules that'll apply. That like if you ever have a very simple one is, if you remember this guy on the board,
yep,
can't target side heroes. If I load in giants, there is a card that immediately breaks the game. Where is he? This guy here.
Here copies their ability this last. So so they'd be taunting each other. So if they both have taunt, then they both can be targeted. Is that how you?
It says the side lane can't be targeted.
Oh,
and they're both next to each other, so the opponent has nobody to hit.
Oh,
so I just simply, instead of redesigning this card, because I was like, I feel like this is going to come up even without this card in the game. I just simply added a rule that if nothing is targetable, you can just hit people regularly.
Okay.
Yep, so now they can just hit whichever one they want.
Makes sense.
If for some reason you put out a card way over here, there is now somebody targetable, and they have to hit this guy. So you can use that if you want, but I feel like a lot of times it just backfires, and you just made your cards weaker.
The possibilities are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. Oh, that was one thing I wanted to show. So if I reset it was to show the rot, they're a very popular faction. It's probably my favorite one.
Go for it, yeah.
Because this really shows you where the game can change. So if I load them in.
The rot.
Ignore this thing. This is just a simple no summon.
Okay.
Their playstyle is debuffs. So you'll see here, some of these heroes early as their essences will slow down your opponent. Killing them, you get nothing good out of it.
Oh.
So you'll notice all they have are killed effects. So you can see Itch here. Ongoing, he cannot be killed while the opponent's at 0 souls. And when they kill him, they lose a soul. And when he flips over, this says stored. You cannot have more than 7 souls. So stored means while it's over in this side area, that is what you're stuck with, that you now cap out at 7. And to get rid of that, you have to attach this essence.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So you're just getting garbage to put out on the board.
I see. Okay.
And all of them are just different ways to make you slower.
Holy cow.
But you'll notice they have no actually ongoing effects in the game, that they're not going to do anything till they die.
Wow.
Yeah. So they need like a second faction to kind of support them.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea of the whole game, is what you're like, oh, well, I'll just go with demons because these guys do pretty good damage, and I'll rely on the demons to do the rest. And just try to kill them before they kill me.
My brain hurts. In a good way.
Yeah. You can see this was like where I was like, oh, I have a really big idea, and I was just scared to build out a game this in depth.
I can see why it took you a while to, like, develop this. And I mean, I can understand if it were like 5 or 6 factions, but you, like you said, you have what, 30 plus or whatever it was?
Yeah, 38. And so possibly this weekend I'll release 39th.
Wow. You're still going with it.
Yep, Folk Tales. And then next month will be Frogs, and then I'm stopping at 40.
Okay, I don't blame you.
And that 40 is like, I'm not going to add new factions outside of redesign some if needed, like the Dragon one kind of thing. Beyond that, I'm just simply moving forward with like the printed physical version.
Yeah. Darn, I was hoping for some mock-up Disney princesses.
Yeah.
You don't listen to her. She wants My Little Pony.
Oh, I wonder. I'm trying to think. So I have Nuclear Family. Boy Scouts are kind of absurd. And then, yeah, I don't think I have anything too silly outside of like Chicken and Frogs.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. No, like popular content creator decks or anything like that.
My dad's gaming edition.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything, but now that you brought it up, no, I'm kidding.
What kind of cards would that be?
I guess it'd be each one of you. You guys, don't you have a dog?
We do, Sarah, and then a ferret. Yeah. Yeah,
it's weird. Now you're just questioning how much do I follow you?
I'm not gonna say anything.
Funny because like when we do our belly laughs, I notice that Discord like just cuts it out.
Oh, I'm sorry. You probably couldn't hear me laughing. My bad. Yeah. That is awesome.
Like when you first mentioned the prison, I heard you, Vince, laughing downstairs, but it didn't come through, and I'm like, oh my
bad.
gosh.
I probably sound like a jerk now. Jeez, okay.
That's when I looked over at the cells, and I'm like, oh, that's what it was.
You know, you could make probably a ton of money offering custom, like, you can custom create decks based off of what people want or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That would be cool, like a little side.
Ironically, very early in this game, because I told people it was on the workshop, they're like, "Oh, can I create my own factions?" I was like, "You can do whatever you want." I was like, "It's your save," and I kept getting so many people like, "Look at this faction I made."
That is awesome.
Because people just wanted to like make their own stuff, or like, "Oh, I'm going to build this one off this game or my family," and so on and so forth.
How do you balance then? Like, if people come up with these factions, like, how do you balance? Like that must be tough. Like, is there like a predetermined, like, the total attack of these factions have to be between this and this, and the health has to be between this and this, or do you have any criteria?
There's certain roles I always look into is what's the faction's purpose,
gotcha,
and like overall play style. And the more stars they have in complexity, the less stats they're going to have overall because they have more versatility,
abilities. Yeah,
yeah, that they're going to they could potentially heal or do damage and stuff. So they're naturally going to be weaker because you don't really know what they'll do.
Cool.
And then from there, it's always just kind of, oh, these guys have a lot of low damage because they're all support, so that means I should keep upping their health. And then from playtesting, I can then see like, oh, well, they're just surviving anything, so let's drop it a little. But then even then, I'm like, well, even then, they're just not putting out enough damage, so let's just increase 1 damage on a card and see how it plays out.
Wow.
Or just the ability is never used effectively, so let's, instead of just a one-time use, let's make it an immediate summon or some type of like, oh, every time somebody dies, trigger this effect.
Yeah.
So it's usually like, I just kind of need to see how the card's playing out and how effective. And usually within one match, I can immediately tell if a faction is too good or too strong or like too weak.
Cool.
But
that's talent.
Yeah, obviously the more stars you have, the faction just looks like an absolute nightmare. I don't even think I loaded in a single 5-star during this.
Well, you probably did that on purpose not to scare us off.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Because even this one, the cogs, their whole purpose is they can move forward and back.
Oh, okay.
So they can throw off who you should be attacking.
Interesting. Okay.
And that means you can move the other faction back. So Sawyer, who was that melee card that taunted, you can just simply have Core move him back and then throw a different card in front of it, and you're still stuck attacking it.
And if you have a healer nearby, you could, like, the healer could heal the back guy, and then he can then switch to forward, and then you could just swap. That's crazy. Oh, man.
But then you're looking, and this faction does not deal a lot of damage. So you're just constantly taking... That's kind of the idea, is like, oh, these guys offer so much utility, so let's tone down the other effects.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
And then to show you where the game will be going is I can just pull in a deck. Here it is. Search. I may have messed up. And just
no worries.
All good. Yeah.
Search. Let's try it again. There we go. That time it worked. If I remove these and pull in demons, you can clearly see the evolution of it.
Oh, cool. So was this the original or like?
So this is the future version. I'll make it a little bigger. So it's
cool. Okay.
So this was the cover card difference.
Okay.
Now you see, you'll be able to tell like same information, but now you know their damage, average, how much health, utility, difficulty, and cost.
I love that.
So this is just immensely easier to, like, glancing at a faction, you're like, oh, these guys do a lot of damage, let's mix them.
Right.
Then you move into the part here where it gave you the stats. Now it tells you everything.
Oh, that is cool. Okay.
So yeah, now if somebody's new to the game, they can read everything your demons can do.
Without having to go through all 5 cards of that deck, you can just quickly see. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, this was all just me learning, what did I do wrong? It would have been the questions. Then there's a card that comes in how to play, so that's kind of the protect them, along with any tips and tricks or Q&A. So then you get into the new design.
Ooh.
So new theme, as you can see, I try to clear up a lot and just make it very informative.
Yeah.
So you have your damage health, but then the summon and summon position are just one symbol.
Oh, okay.
As you either see the yellow mark for melee, along with the outline around the card, or purple in the back.
For ranged. I see what you're saying.
Yep. So I try to make it real simple because I was like, you only need to deal with this thing once, and then you just don't have to care about it anymore. So let's just put it at the top away from everything else.
That makes sense. And the more numbers and colors you add to a card, the more busy it gets, and the more the more overwhelming it is for first-time players. So I like that addition.
Yeah, I was noticing this was a lot easier for people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There were some arrows, I think, on a couple of the ranged cowboy cards. I was gonna ask about those. Like, are those anything significant?
Let me pull them up, and I'll see. You said cowboys?
Yeah, like, oh, I guess they're not here. I wonder what it was. There was
I know what that is. If you bring them over here, there's tiny little arrows off to the side.
Okay.
Yeah, if you click that, that's just to remove the scripting on a card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you click them, you can see Duality counter, and then it's just a regular card. If you click it back, it brings in the numbers you can adjust. That's there so that if you ever bring in these by mistake, and you're like, oh, let me turn that off so the card doesn't look absurd.
Oh, okay.
Yep. That's literally just, the guy scripting this made this so that every time I mess up, there's a fix for it.
That's actually really cool, really handy. I like that.
Cool. So the physical version, are you going to have like tokens to act as counters? Because obviously you can't click a button in real life and increase health or attack. So do you have like counters that you're going to include with the game?
Yeah, so what'll happen is with these, because cards max out at 12 health, is there's going to be a little counter going 1 to 12 along the side. And ever have
a slider?
Forbidden Desert?
Yes.
The little tiny clip?
Yes.
Because these cards are 2.5 by 2.5. What that means is if you put them together, it is now a standard card size, and you can just put the clip and move it to track the health.
Oh, interesting.
For the damage they've taken.
Okay.
So that'll just simply be there, or you just clip off to the other side and just use a cube to track it.
Okay, that makes sense.
The other one, because this only goes to 5, there will just be tokens that you can just throw into increase damage or decrease.
That's cool, like a +1, +2, +3 token kind of thing.
You got it. That's exactly it. And then everything else is like, the rest of it is just faction based. So when you get spiders, they'll come with their tokens.
Right.
And because factions are just a few cards plus a cover card, it will just simply be in a Ziploc with the components. And you just put the cover on the front, and you have your little faction.
That is cool.
Yeah, so this was meant to be like as easy as possible to get factions, and the box game is just going to come with the big board, the little kill tracker thingy, and the tokens necessary to play any faction.
Okay. And is the size of this box going to be like, would you estimate smaller or bigger than Tectonic Shift? Or
it'll definitely be bigger just because the amount of factions that you'd be putting. But the board is 20 by 20, so it'll fold into fourths. So it'll be a 5 by 5 board.
Okay, cool.
And then you just kind of picture the box. Just think it'll be a little bit thicker, so you can store all the factions in there, etc. And that's it. Yeah.
All right. I look forward to trying this one out too.
Yeah. The same. If you ever want to play, I'll be happy to join you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
But it is you have access to the newest content that I have.
Okay.
Outside of the folk tales will be coming.
Okay.
But that one's the next one I'm working on is somebody said something about Three Little Pigs. And I was like, that is free access for everybody. I was like, I feel like I could do a faction. So that faction's built around morals.
Ah, okay. Gotcha.
And kind of like learning your lessons, and if you have patience, these cards get better.
Oh, interesting.
So the Three Little Pigs, when you have them, you put out a little build card off to the side, and every time it's your turn, you move it 1 turn forward. And you start by turn 1, you can just build the Hay one, and he comes out and he's just a very useless card that he's just a 1/7 with no ability. If you wait till you get to the stick phase, he gets stronger. If you wait till you get to the brick phase, he makes the cards around him stronger too.
That's crazy.
But you have to wait at least 5 turns, 5 of your own turns, and he may be your only melee card, and you're like, oh, I got to bring him out early to save my range.
That is cool.
I love that it's the opposite. Like, it's morals, the opposite of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, and I kept looking at things and people were like, oh, do Paul Bunyan and stuff like that. I was like,
it's very niche.
I was like, there's no morals. I was like, that's just talking about Americans coming over to wipe out forests.
Lumberjack.
I'm just colonizing. I was like, there's no story there. And I was like, oh, the gold goose and the golden egg. I was like, I looked it up, and that one's just about greed. So I started reading the story, and I was like, oh, so that one's a cool little card that, much like the one card that could heal adjacent every turn, that one is you have a little egg you put on the card that builds up every turn, and you can build it up to 4, but every time you use it, you instead move it down. So you have to decide, do I want to move it up so I can heal for more, or do I want to spend it and keep lowering the heal?
Wow.
So it's kind of like a little meter, but if you ever reach the end, it dies automatically. So the idea is you can keep healing constantly, but you're just slowly abusing the egg.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is you want to kind of be patient with it and move back and forth and not become greedy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it was just kind of like, I was just looking at cards. I'm like, okay, what can I learn from that? And how does and making sure it actually has an overall mechanic to it, that these guys are all about patience and taking your time and learning how to use them at the right time.
That's cool. You even have a tectonic shift deck in here where it has 3 modes.
Yeah.
I can see why it's 5 stars, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. They're rough.
So, all right. Well, thanks for showing me this. I'm interested definitely in both games, so I can't wait to see what the final product will look like at some point.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I would love to see you guys play Duality, just because I know Vince has like a chess brain.
Well, so now you can play Adelaide and you can have her kick your butt because she's played before.
I'm gonna have about 5 of those +3 tokens right here. I need like 12 maybe.
just get all of them.
I win.
Exactly.
She does that often though. She'll pretend like she doesn't know how to play. She's terrible at it. I'm not gonna win. And then at the end of the game, like, she steamrolls me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so bad at games. Blah, blah, blah.
No,
I tease her all the time.
If I steamroll, it was totally pure luck. That's all it was.
Yeah, okay.
Beginner's luck.
She pretends to not know how to play games like this and then proceeds to destroy them.
Don't say that, because now I have high expectations. Yeah. Like, people are going to have high expectations.
See, I feel like I'm such a sore loser with my wife, because when she wins, she's like, I don't even know what I was doing. I was like, I was trying my hardest. I was like, this game sucks.
I think that's how Vince feels.
Well, that's even worse for him, though, because he developed this game or whatever, and if she beats him at it, like, she beat him at his own game. That, you know what I mean? Like, that has to hurt.
I never beat her in Havenfall. It's frustrating, to say the least.
But that's how you know you made a good game, though. The fact that a new player could come in and wipe you out, that's funny.
Yeah.
And then she'll tell me what I did wrong. I was like, I don't want to hear it.
Right.
But yeah, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.